Join us now on Semi-Pro Gridiron Rants is one of Kenny's mentors and David Wolf Parker. How are you, my man? How's it going?
Outstanding. Thank you. How are you today?
I'm good. I know Kenny's good. He's probably going to take more of a lead on this. I'm going to sit back and listen to you two old guys chat a little bit, but
he's looking for the old guy. He forgets he's the oldest one in the room right now.
There, the old guy is right there.
Yeah, on top of the screen.
It's like the Brady Bunch.
Kenny, kind of give us the introduction of Wolf.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my man, David Wolf Parker. He has pretty much done everything and anything you can do on the semi-pro world. That's why I thought it'd be fantastic to have him as our first interviewee or interviewer, whatever the proper term is there. And if I get my way, he'll come visit us several times throughout these things throughout the way. But Wolf's pretty much done it all when it comes to semi-pro level, and not just on the man side. He's actually coached a women's team or two along the way too. So he's done a lot. So what I'd like him to do is just kind of give us, the abridged version of his semi-pro world, what got him into semi-pro, where is he at this point, everything he's done in between his national championships. And then we'll talk a little bit of how him and I met and how he hated my guts. And then we became.
Can't even imagine someone hating your guts. I can't even imagine it.
Well, the reality is I ask a lot of questions. I'm a why guy. Why?
That's a fact. That is a fact.
But we'll get into why that pissed Wolf off. But so anyway, Wolf, introduce yourself, my man, and let's have that breakdown real quick. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as you guys keep saying, everybody calls me Wolf, but my real name's David Parker. Basically, football-wise, I played football in high school all 4 years. Did pretty good. Went on to playing some arena ball. Never got to college. I sort of missed out on that opportunity. Went in the Army. I took a 9-year break in the Army and started playing ball again, believe it or not. I think we're frozen.
Nope, we're still good.
Okay.
No, we're good.
You guys don't move at all. Very good. All right. You guys are frozen. You were doing what we call in the military standing fast.
We're
yes.
We're toxic.
Listen, I'm used to put my hand down and not moving after that, so I got it.
All right. So believe it or not, I got back into football after quite a break because I was bored. And I was actually delivering pizza at night for just something to do after work. I was single, didn't care. And there was this punk like half the size of Kenny talking about how he was going to go play for this football team as a running back. And I'm looking at him going, what? So I ended up going to the tryout just to see what it was. Ended up getting back on the field and playing a little arena ball, little semi-pro arena ball too. And what happened was once I finally hung it up because I hurt myself, and was just playing like adult rec arena ball. Our head coach had a heart attack.
Ouch.
And I blew my shoulder out yet again. So the team came.
He was a quarterback, by the way, folks. That's why I blew his shoulder out.
The team was a lot smaller.
Yeah, he was a quarterback before he learned how to eat.
Before I got the gun show.
That's right,
anyway,
the gun show.
So the team came to me and said, hey, will you coach us? And I said, okay, I'll try. And we did glorious. We went 0-11. And we were dead last.
Did you coach Hantke? He went 0-10 and 0-1-10 or 1-9.
Yeah, first 2 years.
We came within a field goal one time of winning.
Nice.
Right? I even played little Kenny Anderson, a little 88 tight end one game.
Did a little ish? Did you run the ish?
I ran the ish almost as good as you, sir.
Perfect.
Right? So I'm figuring, it's the end of the season. We're 0-11, which looks more like computer code than a football record.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well, I'm a better player than I am a coach. And this gentleman comes walking up to me and asks if I'd be interested in coaching a franchise expansion team for the Rocky Mountain Football League. And I was like, did you just watch what happened? And he said, what I watched was a guy that's a really, really good coach. He just didn't have the same talent every week, didn't have the same things going on. And if we could get you some consistency with players, I think you can do the whole thing. And I was like, okay. So we gave it a try. The next year we did pretty good, 18-0. A bunch of guys never played together. And that launched a 20-year career that's got me somewhere in the 700 wins series. 700%, not 700 wins. I ain't played that many games, but
That's a lot of years if that was the case.
Well, but basically 20 seasons, semi-pro, did some high school coaching, coached the knucklehead above me when he was still, not quite as gray bearded as he is.
Right.
What was that first team? What was the name of that first team you coached?
That was the Wasatch Wildcats out of Salt Lake City.
Now, was that the team you took to the title?
Yeah.
And how many titles did you win again? Nationals?
2 national and 2
nationals.
championships.
And then 2 leagues, right?
Now, what's funny about semi-pro, and I like the fact that Kenny calls it a rant, because it's definitely going to be a rant.
Well, that's what we're here for.
There's no such thing as a true national title, right? So we played in the Rocky Mountain Football League, which led us to a different series of a few states put together, and that led to another group, and then they called it the title.
Right. Let's be honest. There's over 1,000 football teams at the semi-pro level across the country. It's impossible.
I want to say there's at least 5,000.
Yeah, there's there's lots of them. So it's impossible to crown a true national championship, because also, when I moved to Florida, I coached in a fall or a spring league. So is that a national? We were nationally ranked for the spring.
Right, different, yeah.
But, so what does that mean? So it's just tough. But I just want to bring that up. Exactly right, Wolf. He did bring 2 teams to win a national title, just as though Hantke won a national title. Look, one of these things doesn't belong here. That's me. I didn't win a national title.
You are.
That's
correct. You are not good enough to be a national champion.
We had a team invited to the nationals, but unfortunately we weren't able to get enough of them together to practice.
I'm even okay with a little bit of developmental football.
There you go.
Because there is still that tiny percent that can go on and maybe get you out of the combine and do some things, but you're talking such a small percentage. But
yeah, it seems like every year now there's like one dude that you hear in the NFL. Such and such came, he was bagging groceries and playing for his local semi-pro team.
Right. Well, we had from here, we had Ray Seals, and then Stevie Scott, who had many of opportunities, whose son's doing great things in Indiana right now.
Right.
But Stevie was just a ridiculous athlete, and had some opportunities in arena and had some tryouts in the NFL. So, and then you never know. You know what I mean? You never know where the guys are going to come from, because there's a ton of talent out there that just doesn't make it. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and also when we say those guys, those were pre-internet dudes. So now with the internet, look at us. We're 3 knuckleheads. I'm in Texas. The big man Smooth is in New York, and my man Wolf is down in Colorado. So we're able to do this and have a meeting where before this wasn't possible. Now we have people who are nonstop putting videos, whether it's to be a goofball like we are, goofballs just being out there, or there's going to be dudes that are trying to make it to the next level, and they're being found, because part of the recruiting process now, not only in college ball, but in the pros, is go find somebody obscure.
Well, that's what at the end of the day, like seeing the XFL fold the way it did, because I thought that they really had something there, and seeing the arena football just kind of go away because, suddenly it just stopped self-sustaining itself. That's where, where you find a lot of those guys, and it's sad to see some of those opportunities. Just
2 things on that. One, there's an arena league coming back, at least in New York.
Is there?
Yeah, and then there's also XFL is up for sale, and there's something going on. I was catching it yesterday until like June 5th or June 6th. There's something going on with obviously the lawsuit, which you and I'll get to after the interview. But unless Wolf wants to chime in, of course, we're not going to kick him out. But so Wolf, let's get to how you and I met. So we had mentioned on the first episode that I had played for the Watertown Red and Black, the oldest semi-pro team in the country. Wolf, I won't share your story here. You'll tell it better than I do. So tell us what got you to the Watertown Red and Black, and then we'll talk into why you hated me. That's where it gets really fun.
Let's back up just a little bit. So I coached the team in 2000. I coached again in 2001. I coached another team in 2002. But then after 9/11, the Army come knocking, wanted to know if I wanted to come back and play soldier. So we worked it out, and I said yes, and I moved to Fort Drum, New York. I was excited to go there. I tried to go into New York on purpose. I wanted to go to Fort Drum, not just because of the unit, but because of the Watertown Red and Black, from what I knew of them. Them being the oldest team in the country, I wanted to see if I could maybe be secondary coach to the water boy coach. And then I discovered that the head coach is a Hall of Famer. And I'm like, man, I just want to hang around these guys. I've been doing it a couple, 3 years, but obviously they know something. So I packed up every accolade I could come up with, got a interview with the head coach.
Now, Wolf, a side note, Wolf is also a previous car salesman like myself. So he knows how to pitch. And as the longer you talk to this cat, you'll see that he is a salesman. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That's all right. Listen, that's what you need.
That's right. So Phil, that's why when he's prepping for this, I'm because I know Wolf, and I'm picturing this, and I'm picturing him doing his homework, and I'm picturing him practicing his sales pitch in the mirror. I'm picturing him doing all the old school stuff that we used to do when we were car guys. So continue.
So I show up to the diner. I got my box. I get there a little early. I get it all set up. Just like Kenny said, I'm setting up my track because I'm just trying to be, like I said, second assistant water boy coach, right? The head coach shows up. We start talking. I show up to the very first practice, start meeting people. As Kenny will remember, I set up video cameras. I had my computer system out so I could start taking notes and start watching the players because I knew, you know, you're the new coach. You don't know these guys. You got to take video and start figuring them out. I've always loved to do that until I can put a name with the video. And I'm just really trying to get the feel of this team.
Let me preface this next stage because I kind of want to build why you and I butted heads. So in prior to Wolf, for those of you who've played semi-pro ball, the team was ran like about 90% of most semi-pro ball teams in this country. It was bring in a former player or bring in a former this, and you're going to use traditional blocking schemes, kind of basic blocking schemes. So this is a coach that came in who knew nobody. So he wanted to learn us as much as we wanted to learn him, right? And let's be honest, some veterans, and probably if I thought back, probably myself, wanted to make sure that our positions were secured. So we wanted to get on the good side of him. When I found out I was on the wrong side of that program, so let's get back to it's your first practice. You got the tripod set up. You got us running around like chickens with their heads cut off. You're trying to impress us, probably more than we're trying to impress you. And we were trying to impress you because, you know, those of us that had been starters on that team before didn't want to get our asses benched.
I would call that I was working on inserting my dominance.
Well, that's true too.
What year was this?
Huh? 2000.
What year was this?
2004.
Now, we just came off of season 2 now where we were undefeated in the regular season and playoffs, and we ended up losing to Albany, and they crushed us in the championship game. But we were cocky pricks. I mean, we were just undefeated in our division. The only team that could beat us,
I remember playing Watertown.
The only team that could beat us was a team that was stacked from the capital of the state, right? So we were cocky pricks. And then in walks a guy who actually was cockier than we were. But he had a reason to be because he had a couple of rings in his pocket that we didn't have. So continue, my man.
Yep.
About to say, do you need me here? Are you sure?
It's all coming back to me now. It's been a while.
So anyways, he said, tripod set up, videos running. I'm trying to figure it out. I do this for a couple practices. Really not figuring it out. So we started working on it. Now,
there you go.
We lose the first 3 games. Just lose. And I'm thinking, you know what? I am not the right guy. These guys went undefeated. Now I show up and they're losing. Every year I was there was exactly the same. I was always trying to build. As a matter of fact, my wife just pulled out and showed me my first original playbook. She was just looking at it, but I'm not from Watertown, from another team. But no, and I just had to realize, and I believe it or not, and I don't have a relationship that I can speak of with the head coach of that team, but I walked in to quit. But anywho, so I went to him and I said, no, I'm not the right guy. He goes, no, you're the right guy because you're making them play football. Hang in there. Now, as Kenny will contest, outside of playoffs, we didn't lose for 19 more games after that. Well, the playbook for them. I didn't come in with a playbook. I hate golden playbooks. Can't stand coaches that have golden playbooks. If you're not Sabian where you can recruit exactly who you need to fill that technique, you can't have a golden playbook. So I wrote one for Watertown, and it changed every year because the players adjusted every year, and we were dominant. Problem was we just couldn't pound it home at the end of the season, which is when it's most important.
Let's go back to us hating each other. So what had happened was, like I said, I ask a lot of questions. Okay,
A lot.
He changed every play. Yep.
Every
Every play
blocking
was different.
scheme,
Now I played tight
every
end.
route.
Right. So I played tight end for those who didn't watch the first show. I played tight end. So he changed everything I did. Everything. So
You suck at it.
What's that?
That's because you sucked at it.
I did. Compared to what the finished product
so Kenny was a big, stocky guy who was power. He was powerful. He could block a person, he could block an end, throw him straight to the ground and get out 5 yards and get outside and catch a ball all day long. But they kept having him run seam routes. 12 yards down the road, he's out of wind trying to figure out where the ball is. And then he's turning his body all around to look for the catch, and the safety's putting their helmet in his back. And I'm like, okay, you're going to get him killed. He's not that type of athlete. Let's use him this way.
Yeah, I wasn't a vertical threat. We're not gonna scare anybody with that. It's definitely
you're a 10-yard and out guy.
Well, the ish we referenced earlier was Wolf actually put in plays where he would call, for those of you who have played ball before, you're either a concept team, which is what I coached, or you're a route tree team, which is what Wolf coached. So he would call a 2-ish. In other words, Kenny, I need you somewhere in this area. After you delay, block, and release, get somewhere in that area. So today, if you watch, and I'm not saying I invented it, but if you watch the NFL today, a lot of tight ends run nothing but ish routes, right? You run where they ain't. And when you're a slow guy like me, and you're not a vertical threat, the ish was it all. And so he would
sit behind the linebackers, bro. That's all you need to do. Just sit behind the linebackers.
And I made a living. Yep, I made a living in the underneath zone and out in the flats. So, And
now the league caught on to what we used him for, and they had to start covering him.
Right.
Of other things.
Where before I was just the sixth.
Let's just jump to Canada real fast. He was that close to holding an NFL record. So I ran 1-ish to Kenny 12 times in a row so he could get the record. And guess what? It worked all 12 times.
Well, also in Plattsburgh, we were in a championship game, playoff game, and we ran. Basically, I did a curl route in the end zone, and Keachel hit me right in the hands, and I dropped it.
Right in the hands.
Right in the end zone.
When it matters.
So we come right back to
when it mattered.
I folded like a cheap suit. We come right back to the huddle, and Keachel goes, "You're not going to believe this." Wolf says, "Run it again and throw it to Kenny." Touchdown. I'm like, are you kidding me? He redeemed myself for me.
He wouldn't do it twice.
He redeemed myself for me. So we keep alluding to this Wolf hating me. Here's what had happened, at least my version. Doug Black was our quarterback, and
number 37.
Number 37. How many quarterbacks wear 37?
Weirdest number I've ever seen in my life for a quarterback.
He's a weird dude, man. He's hilarious.
Yeah, I know.
He's a different kind of team leader. He's not your rah-rah guy at all. He's a poker and a prodder, and he's sarcastic, and he knows when to get at you when he needs to get at you. But, and when it came to game time, you're in the huddle, he was in charge. Don't, make no mistake about it. But he came to me at practice one day, and he said, he's laughing, and he's like, "Dude, Wolf thinks you're an asshole." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, he thinks you're an asshole." I'm like, "Well, I mean, he's not far off," but he goes, he wants to know why you're asking questions all the time. He wants to know if you're fucking with him. So we ended up just having a conversation. I'm like, "Dude, listen, I'm not fucking with you. You have changed. You flipped this team upside down that I'm trying to conceptually understand the whole." Now, when I played in high school, I was a tailback, and I knew every position, what everybody was doing on every single play. So when he started changing plays, I was asking, he'd be like, "Why are you asking what the left tackle's doing? You're on the right side of the field." And it's because my mind was always, why? Why are we doing this? Why is this guy doing that? Why is this guy peeling? Why is this guy cracking down? Why is this guy doing it? And I can see with my intensity asking him so many times, he really just thought I was fucking with him. And then once, once we got on the same page, it was lights out. He took me under his wing, and by the end of the season, we had a little deal where if we were in the middle of blowouts, and with him coaching, we had quite a few, he gave me the cap. And when he gave me the cap, that meant Kenny was benched, and he was now the offensive coordinator. So, and yes, I did just talk to myself about myself in third person there. So he gave me the hat, And it's his fault. I was a coach. It's his fault right there. It was all his fault. I had
Well,
I had no intentions of being a coach. Now, remember, and then you had that conversation with me at practice. You remember that practice conversation?
Kenny and I got over the static because I was basically too much Army. I was just like, because I say so, go over there.
Okay.
Stand over there.
Well, I'm not a big because I said so guy. In case
Stand over there, tight
everybody
end.
didn't know that.
And then you are not. And then of course I would say, did it work? And he'd be like, yes, but I don't understand how it worked. Okay, it worked because anyway. So once we got over that, and I started realizing Kenny was just picking my brain. I've always believed that if you're a coach, your job is to produce the next generation of coaches. If you don't teach somebody to replace you, then you were just a waste of time because you're not taking care of our sport. So I started teaching Kenny because I caught on to in that 4th or 5th game that if he was in a great goofy mood, the team scored a lot more. They played more open, more prep in her step, more light-hearted, go out and smash mouth. But if he showed up because he was playing like he was mad, the team was mad, right? The team would play mad, and then they would make stupid mistakes. So one day I literally walked out on the field and said, "Listen, dickhead, you are the heart and soul of this offense. If you're not in a good mood, they're not in a good mood." He's like, "Oh, no." Like,
no,
shut
that's
up.
Doug. That's Ernie. That's Al.
No,
It's funny that you say that. It's funny you say that because playing for Kenny was almost the exact same thing. Like when he was in a bad mood, I think we sucked. You know what I mean? And when he was like loose and he would call plays, because we had different quarterbacks, some that really didn't need Kenny to call plays for him, and then some that needed Kenny to call every single thing regimented.
Including the read.
Yes, including where the balls go. Yeah, it happened. But it was funny. It's funny you say that because it was like that when he was coaching too, where I would just be like, "Dude, what are you doing?" Because I'm that guy that's going to challenge you. You know what I mean? So I would challenge Kenny.
Hantke and I had a few altercations, verbal
nothing
spats on the sideline.
Yeah, but nothing that was bad because here we are. You're only like 5 years older than I am, so it's like we came up in the same time. I've been playing long enough. We're like, dude, what are you doing? You know, why are you calling that? Like, realize what guys you got on the field. You know what I mean?
You can
Sometimes
imagine
Kenny wouldn't realize what guys.
You can imagine what it was like for Kenny with me because I don't pay attention to downs.
Right.
Okay.
I pay no attention to first, second, or third down. I don't care. I have somebody that's going to come tell me when it's 4th, and I don't even care about 4th. As far as I'm concerned, if you're 40-yard line of yours and closer, you keep going because a punt doesn't change nothing anyway.
It's funny you say that because when I moved to Jacksonville, I told my players day one, I said, "Listen, punter, you're not going to get a lot of action." I said, "Once we cross the 50, I do not punt. I do not punt." I'm like, "Why don't you punt?" I said, "Okay, let's watch some film of you guys before I got here. Here's a punt. Okay, you punted from the 50. They returned it to the 40. What good is it to punt? You might as well go for it." And at this level, I didn't know where I got it from. I just thought, hey, I grew a set of balls, and I said, when I go over to 50, I'm not punting. Well, now we know. Coach Wolf, it's your fault. Guys in Jacksonville, it's his fault.
It was so bad. It was so bad at the red and black that I'd be calling a play, and I'd hear the head coach yell, "Punt!" And I'd be like, "Is it 4th? But it's only 4th and 2. Get out of the way. What are you doing? What do you mean punt? The defense is tired. I'm going to go right here. Rah, rah, rah. When we get a first down and keep going."
Yeah.
So Kenny, that drove Kenny crazy because he'd come off the field sometimes going, "Why did you go for it on 4th and 18? Because we're on the 51, aka the 49.
What do you mean, Canada?
Who cares? Huh?
What, were you playing in Canada? And yes, we did play Canada a couple times.
Kenny, you don't remember this, but I always looked at it as a 100-yard field.
Right.
If we started on the goal line, I had to move 100 yards. I didn't care about the down. I didn't care about the down. I don't care about the stupid markers I care about what the defense is showing me. And if I can find somebody limping, I'm going right after him. If I can find somebody.
Well, listen, Wolfman, it's I know it's always great shooting the shit with you. And I'll definitely have you back because you're a good time. But what I want to do is to finish this one out is tell us a little bit about, you're in Colorado. I know you and I have talked offline about you possibly moving to East Texas, you possibly doing the RV world. So, A, is there any future coaching in your plans? B, any future semi-pro, anything in your plans? And go.
I'd say at this moment, no. But if some university actually decided to stop playing politics and wanted to call me, we could win a national title within 4 years. I wouldn't coach in the NFL because that's all about ego and $1 million contracts. How do you tell a guy who makes $50 million a year to go to hell?
Right.
That's what we used to call our obstacle course. I would set up obstacle courses that would just tear people to pieces. But
yeah, we'd tell them, we'd point and say, "Go to hell!"
Right.
And they'd all run over and start the obstacle course.
Being a guy that's I mean, think about it, Kenny. You and I have a claim to fame that probably nobody else in the semi-pro world has, and that is we had all the uniforms, all the equipment, 2 playing fields and a practice field, and no players.
Yeah.
I still have the sweatshirt in the closet.
I still have a couple T-shirts.
Oswego County Outlaws.
That's right.
Had a roster of none.
Yeah, well, we had a roster of 40 in a practice of 2.
So yeah. I don't know. I think
sounds about right.
Yeah.
The challenge that I've run into since the last time I coached with Kenny is out here at spring ball. Out here, it's each team is just normal, what I call progression of the next one. You know, Kenny and I play on a football team. We don't like to coach, so we go start one. And then Kenny and I don't like each other, so we split and go start 2 more. And before you know it, the talent pool is so watered down that you get one guy who gets pissed and he starts another league. So Colorado's got 2 leagues in a state that they don't compete nationally very well. They try, they have some great teams here, but they play spring ball, and by the time they're playing in the fall, it's been a little while since they were at peak performance.
Right. We talked about that last week about the watered down, you know, where
right.
You know, your
coaches
powerhouses aren't like they used to be because of all the watering down that's been going on.
And then when it comes to ownership and head coaches, they seem to become one position now. It's very, very rare. Kenny was rare, little punk. He could actually own and coach. Most people can't. They cannot do it. Right? Most owners are really good football players that realize they can't coach, or they were coaches that were okay that decided to give somebody else a chance, or the worst 50%, they were jock sniffers that just want to own a football team so they can be in the locker room. And that's usually what you run into. They don't know anything about the game. So it's burned me out. I'm tired of the guys that come up and go, I should be in the NFL. No, dude. If you should have been in the NFL, you would have worked hard enough. You'd have found a way, because most people don't. It's not that they don't have the talent. It's they're not resourceful enough. They're not willing to do what it takes. So now we're going to be semi-pro ball, and we're going to cry about every call. You know, I can't stand players who are like, we lost the game for the ref. No, we lost the game because you didn't score as many points as the other guy.
Right.
Yep. If the ref is involved, you're in trouble in the first place. So you have
don't put it in the referee's hands.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I never let my foot off the gas. And people were like, well, he runs up the score. Right. You keep the freaking referee from giving you 3 touchdowns and making it tie.
Right.
But no, I don't. It's too hard. I mean, it's just.
And that's where this semi-pro comes from, right there. There's too many. There's too many of that. And, you know, I think the 3 of us combined, you know, Hantke isn't involved anymore. I'm obviously not involved anymore. You know, this is as involved as I've been since as involved as I've been since 2017 in Jacksonville. So it's I miss the sport. I miss the guys. You know, I miss hanging out with you guys. I miss talking football. Wolf and I hours on end, you know, talking football. Just what ifs scenarios. You know, we break down game films and we would just what ifs and. You know,
film session until 3 a.m.
Yeah, just stupid stuff. And, you know, I miss that. But what I don't miss is that, right? You play a team that is recruiting illegally, is paying a player, or they just talk shit for reason to talk shit about you. Now, you know, and when we put these podcasts out there, there's going to be some of you on here, they're going to talk shit about us. And it is what it is. You know, you get used to that. But, you know, at some point when it starts, when I cared as an owner / head coach more than my players as a group, and I'm not saying there weren't individuals that cared, that's when I knew it was time for me to move on, was because I cared more than the guy playing the game. And to me, it should be the guy playing the game he's there. He's sacrificing his body and his time. He should be the one that cares more than the coach. And I've played on teams where it was symbiotic, right? Where the coach cared and the players cared, and they were great teams. And then I played on teams where the players cared and the coach didn't. And it was, the players get you so far, but when you need that coach and the coach isn't invested, you don't get the ring. And then I played on where I was the guy that cared and nobody else did. And that's, at that point it became time to move on. So
Yeah, to straight out answer your question, I doubt it. I don't mean, we'll see what the future holds, but the game that I love is, my time has passed because I just can't do this. Like the last season I was actually actively involved with Semi-Pro. I was assisting as the GM, but I basically called the game from the booth. I was the announcer. I was having a lot of fun with it. But I watched these guys throw some fits. I watched the guy throw his helmet over the fence. I watched all these things that I just want to put up with. Now, I coached a team one time that was just terrible. And I said, listen, we have to make a decision now. Are we going to stick to our standards and just do it, whatever happens this season we happen? Or are you going to give in because you want to win so bad and just play anybody? And then next year I'm right back where I started with a mess, because we can't. Sometimes if I give any advice to an owner coach, if you suck, then work on your standards and your techniques for the rest of that season. Stop trying to figure out how to make something of it, so the next season you have something to build on.
right.
The problem is they're all too worried about what they can talk about down at the bench bar. Well, we won 4 games, so we're.
Right.
I don't know why somebody walked behind you and I look for them. I don't know what that's about down there.
It's
just old age.
say hello. It's
Hello.
my 10-year-old that refuses to stay out of the room right now because he needs to play Fortnite.
Are you a football player?
All right. Well, unfortunately, we got to wrap this up only because we're running the free version of this software, so we're only allowed so many minutes. So we need to wrap this thing up. But
you called me.
That's right. I called you. And Wolfman, I love you like a brother. You changed my semi-pro career. I can't thank you enough. You got me into coaching, something I'd never thought.
This guy right here should be in the Semi-Pro Hall of Fame. That's where Kenny should be.
I think you're my man.
Don't put that in his head. Don't put that in his head.
Oh, yeah, well,
Ain't nothing else in there. What's the difference?
he's right there. But Wolfman, I love you, buddy. So
Yeah.
I'll definitely like to have you back on. Thanks for stopping in.
All right, gentle.
See you,
We'll
buddy.
see you.